Hello, I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome, and welcome to one of my least favorite films in the X-Men film franchise that almost ruined the entire franchise for me.
Released in 2009, X-Men Origins Wolverine was the first solo outing related to the X-Men franchise. Directed by Gavin Hood of Ender's Game fame, the film focuses on Wolverine's origin before gaining his adamantium skeleton and focuses on his life with William Stryker. With it being written by David Bennett and loosely based off of Weapon X as well as the Chris Claremont and Frank Miller run, the film would become the least liked film in the franchise due to plenty of unlikable issues.
So join me as we dive into X-Men Origins Wolverine.
The movie begins with a sickly child named James, while his friend Victor has a clear anger issue. James's father begins taking care of him, only for Victor's father to come barging in and killing James's father in the process. This drives James angry, causing his bone claws to appear as he kills Victor's father, with his father revealing a secret on his dying breath.
He wasn't your father. What a twist!
Victor runs after James, and the two promise to take care of each other as the opening credits showcase the two of them going from war to war, defending each other, but Victor becomes more and more feral, eventually turning on their side and being sentenced to death by firing squad.
I don't think that worked.
The boys meet William Stryker and offer them a way out, which they take, becoming mercenaries with Wade Wilson and other mutants. The group land and the mayhem begins as the marksman Zero takes out most of the guards. Fred then shows his skill of muscle.
Wow. What a bang.
The group head into the building, with Head Honcho turning the elevator off, but the team's technopath just overrides it, giving Wade his moment in the sun.
All I gotta say is I'm really glad Ryan Reynolds got a chance to reprise Deadpool, especially with how much they crapped on the character of Deadpool in this film. Ryan was 100% amazing as Deadpool and is the perfect cast. There's nothing more to say about it. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Stryker takes the metal rock he wanted as we transition to a native tribe to find more of it, as all hell breaks loose as Logan wants the killing to stop, and we walk away from the entire operation. We then jump to 6 years later, where Logan is trying to live his best life, and we see he has a new girl and a new job in construction.
That right there is some kinky-ass Dom shit.
We then jump to a carnival in Ohio where Bradley has become a scammer. After the show, however, he gets a visit from Victor, but Bradley wants nothing to do with his past, which Victor doesn't take no for an answer. Logan then wakes up to dreams but quickly calms down with Kayla's help, and later at work...
Who the hell is this? Smells like government.
Yep, it smells like cheap cigars and arrogance.
Stryker has come to ask Logan for help regarding Bradley's death, and he just says no, but Logan tells Kayla what him and Stryker discuss anyway.
Because I'm the best there is at what I do. What I do best isn't very nice.
He said it! He said it!
Logan and Kayla come across people in the road, but through an awkward conversation, they let the two go by. Later that night, Kayla gives a story about the moon and her lover being betrayed by someone close to them, which is a sign of what's to come later. The next day, Victor visits Kayla on the side of the road, but Logan is too late as he finds her dead body in the middle of a destroyed forest.
So if a Logan screams in the woods, does anybody hear it?
Logan tracks Victor down in a rundown bar, and a brawl begins between the two of them as they tear each other apart until Victor gets the upper hand, slamming him into an oncoming truck and smashing his bone claws.
Think. Owie!
Logan wakes up in the hospital to find Stryker, and of course he is angry out of his mind. Stryker then offers a way to help and a way to get his revenge. Logan reluctantly accepts. Stryker then explains the experiment and how he created adamantium and how it will be extremely painful. The experiment, of course, begins, and it's a success. However, Stryker only did this in order to gain Logan's DNA for a separate experiment, and as he tells them to kill Logan, he overhears it, and a very pissed off Logan wakes up.
You done fucked up now!
The military men do what they can to stop Logan, but just get laid to waste as Logan makes his escape over a waterfall.
Well, that's one way to get an enema.
Logan, of course, survives and finds refuge at an old abandoned barn, and he is found by the owners of it and given clothes, food, and shelter. Eventually, the old man gives him the iconic Wolverine jacket, right before the couple is sniped by Zero, which begins a huge motorcycle helicopter chase that has an actual cool shot mimicking the anime Akira. The chase continues as Logan takes out the truck with his claws, causing a distraction before hopping onto the second truck and being launched into the air, slicing the helicopter, crashing it. Zero, however, is still alive, somehow, and Logan demands to know where Victor is. Zero then meets a fiery death.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. They blow things up and then walk away.
Stryker meets with the general about how to kill Logan with an adamantium bullet before being told about a young mutant being found that turns out to be a young Scott Summers before going to Vegas, where Logan explains things to John. Logan learns that Fred knows what's going on, and due to a misunderstanding, Fred punches Logan in the face.
So you tell me where Victor is. Come on, Bob, for old time's sake, huh?
Did you just call me Blob?
No, but...
Logan and Fred have a boxing match in order for Logan to learn what's going on with Stryker's Island, with Logan eventually winning. Victor then begins to stalk Scott in massively rubber CGI. Fred eventually reveals that Stryker has actually been working with Victor the entire time, and he also reveals that only one person ever escaped Stryker's Island, who is name-dropped to be Remy LeBeau. So Logan heads to talk to him, and Gambit, as he's called, does not know Logan, but when they begin to play cards, he goes in the defensive with Logan brings up the island. While Logan was handling Remy, John began picking a fight with Victor, ending in his death, as Logan comes to and seeing Victor, leading to an alley fight that is interrupted by Remy, who allows Victor to get away until Logan tells him to listen to what he has to say. Stryker then re-meets with the general, who reveals he knows about his son, and to keep the general quiet, Stryker kills him.
Foreign.
Remy brings Logan to the island despite his fear of flying, which is actually a nuclear reactor, and Logan is dropped into the water below. Logan then sneaks into the building, seeing all of the mutants being held captive, as he asks Stryker why the betrayal. He explains he's building a killer using all of stolen mutant powers, and then Logan learns that Kayla is still alive.
That is some sussy ass shit.
Logan learns that Kayla is also a mutant with the power of persuasion as he lets her know how hurt he is, and finally decides to accept who he is. Kayla then begs for the Colonel to let her sister go before Victor reappears, angry that he will not be given the adamantium, and goes after Kayla. Logan returns feral, beginning a fight with Victor and almost kills him, but his love for Kayla makes him stop.
Even a wild animal is stopped with the power of boners.
Kayla tries to apologize, letting Logan know about her sister, and he helps let her and every other mutant out as Stryker activates Weapon 11, who turns out to be Wade, and the biggest insult in this fucking film, so I'm skipping the whole goddamn thing as much as I can. The fight lasts about 1-on-1 while the mutants escape, then goes to the top of the building until, Logan's fighting, and then Sabretooth joins the fight, and Logan eventually wins by cutting off his goddamn head. Fuck this fight, fuck Deadpool, and fuck this movie! Meanwhile, the mutants are being helped by an unknown entity while Victor and Logan jump to safety, with Gambit saving the day before Logan is smashed. However, Kayla was not so lucky as she's injured, and Wolverine ends up being shot from behind by Stryker multiple times, eventually being shot in the skull. Kayla uses her powers to make Stryker walk until his feet bleed, and we see that Professor X is the voice in Scott's head. Wolverine eventually wakes up not knowing anything but being drawn to Kayla, who actually died using her powers. The film ends with a zoom out of the island. This film would end up having a huge leaked worked print of an incomplete version of the film that was downloaded approximately 4.5 million times before it was re-released in theaters. However, despite all of that, it still somehow made $373 million on a $150 million budget, but it's still known as the worst in the franchise that would later eventually become retconned in later films.
This film is crap. It may have done really well in the box office, but if the DCEU has anything to prove to that, doesn't really matter, because the plot is out there. The effects are terrible, especially for the fourth film in a franchise, and just so many convoluted things that don't make sense within the film or the timelines. That being said, we still got more X-Men films to go through. Let's start the next of the beginning of the end of the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning of First Class.